Real quick, y'all, if you've been following me, you've been rocking with me, follow my Instagram, agtactical25. I only have like 30 something of y'all. Go follow me, DM me, tell me all the stuff you want to tell me. Let's get it. Now we need to move straight into the YNW Melly case. This shit's getting crazy. We have the prosecution actually bringing some decent evidence at this point. They're bringing up the crime scene reconstruction. Now, whenever you have a reconstruction done by a competent prosecutor, it could be very damaging for, the defense's case. So we need to find out, and there she goes. We need to find out exactly what happened in that. I'm super excited to see it. And on top of that, we have a medical examiner who can determine the fatal shots that were fired. So wild shit. Let's get straight into this thing. Got those white strawberries on deck. You see it. You see it. Anyway, let's get straight into this medical examiner first. I'll say straight up, first of all, she's a fucking pro. Like, when she explains something, it's definitive. It's the answer, point blank, period. And she's confident in her answers. So it makes her a very good witness.
Was the individual alive when it was inflicted?
Yes.
How can you tell that?
From the hemorrhage.
Is there any sort of other things that would help and assist you in demonstrating the difference between hemorrhage and not?
Well, if we look at the other injuries.
Okay. So let's move on then to gunshot wound C.
So this is gunshot wound C, which was on the back of the right shoulder. Okay, the abrasion collar around that wound is not hemorrhagic. What that tells me is that there is no circulation.
It's not hemorrhagic. I've never heard that word in my life. Obviously, context clues.
That part of the body when that gunshot wound is inflicted. If you think about, an abrasion is a blunt force injury, okay, from an object. It's a friction injury. If you think about riding your bike as a child, falling off.
Hey, the glasses came off. Auntie's about to start explaining some shit. This would be the dopest grandma to have. I swear, she'll be on my channel every day. She would always be on my channel, but anyway.
Your bike skidding your knee, right? That will quickly turn red and bleed because you've taken off that that top layer of skin. Same scenario here, except I don't have any circulating. I don't have a heartbeat. I don't have any blood circulating to this part of the body. Therefore, that abrasion stays yellowy white.
So, Dr. McDougall, can you give any opinion?
So basically, I shoot you, bang, 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 but your heart stopped beating. It's just gonna basically your blood's just gonna stay in there and not drip out. It's gonna be one of those things. Like she compared it to skidding your knee. When you rip it off and it's like, oh, it's white. And it's like white and you're looking at it and then the blood starts to seep and then it starts to drip. Yeah, that's circulation. So, if you were dead, that wouldn't happen.
As to how long time frame elapsed between gunshot wound A to E in the head and gunshot wound C?
I cannot.
Why not?
Oh, because I don't know how long it would have taken him to pass away.
Is there any medical studies that can be recreated in?
We can't do that.
You said he is deceased at that point.
Correct.
Can you give the ladies and gentlemen of the jury an example of what you would see if they were inflicted within seconds of each other?
Well, I can tell you of the hundreds of gunshot wound cases, I just had a stab wound case, but in the hundreds of cases that I've done, the thousands of cases that I've done, there are only 3 where I can tell you the order in which the shots occurred, because some were before the person passed away and some were after.
So basically, we only know before and after. If he's riddled with 10 shots, we can find the shots that were while he was still alive and then the shots that were after he was dead. But we can't say, oh, he got shot here first, here first, here first, and then it went on to there. No, you can't say that. You only know living and dead. Hemorrhaging, not hemorrhaging. So I would say it kind of limits the scope of what they can say. But I mean, all you really need to know, you don't need to know the order of shots that they got hit in. All you need to know is what was the fatal shot.
You know, I've had hundreds of gunshot wound cases where they're shot 15, 20, 25 times, and every single gunshot has hemorrhage. So, are they within seconds? No. But I can't tell you, is it, 5 minutes? Is it 30 minutes? There's no way for me to tell you what the time frame between gunshot wound A to E is from when B and C were inflicted.
Moving on to D. What about this particular mark tells you that this is an exit wound?
So D is an exit wound. It's lacerated.
So D is an exit wound. You know what I mean? Very concise, very, very firm in her ability and capability. And the jury's going to notice this. They're going to feel that presence of, of dominance, of understanding. She's a master in her field. You know what I mean? They're going to feel that.
Okay, because you have a blunt force object, the projectile, traveling at a very high, traveling at a rate of speed and with enough energy to perforate the skin, and it causes a laceration.
And so this is photo number 16 for the record. Can you explain, and I'm going to go forward on to photo number 17, so you can explain what a laceration is and what it looks like.
Yeah, so this skin is lacerated. There's no abrasion margin around it, and it's consistent with an exit wound.
And in terms of where on the body is D located?
So it's right almost underneath the armpit.
And
on the left-hand side of the back.
Going back to picture 16, which direction is the body facing when this photo is taken?
Face down.
Okay. Going on to photograph number 20 for the record. What are we looking at here?
So this is the left lung. There's a trajectory rod through it showing the pathway of the projectile. What is interesting in this photograph is that there's absolutely no hemorrhage around any of those wounds.
Crazy. And I mean, this is going through the lungs. So that's vital organs. That's all the blood. That's all the liquids. And there's no hemorrhaging. So yeah, the headshot was the fatal shot. And that's basically all the prosecution needs in this piece so far. I feel like all this is just, to seal the deal. But that's the only fact that they needed. And I don't even know why they would go as far as to say, do you know the order of which the shots were fired? And she said, no. I feel like that hurts prosecution. But maybe not. I don't know why she brought that up. If you don't know the order, then just don't bring it up. But let's continue.
Your lungs are very vascular, right? Because your lungs are responsible for taking the oxygen out of the air you breathe and pushing it into your blood, right? In the really small sacs in your lung. So an injury to your lung is going to bleed a lot, okay, if your heart is beating. Okay, there's no hemorrhage in the upper or the lower lobe of the left lung.
Damn.
And so when you say hemorrhage, what would it look like on the photo? What would you be looking for?
Blood.
So blood would leak out into the area around that lung, and it would not look pink with brown black staining. It would look red.
And that brown black staining, I'm pretty sure is like the bruising and the blood that was disrupted within the body, but there's no circulation to push it back out. So it's just like a oozy, pussy fucking mess just shot up. And I mean, who shoots dead people anyway? Someone trying to get away with something. So like, yeah, it's looking pretty bad. It's looking pretty bad.
And so Dr. McDougall, if you could remind the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what entrance and exit wound does this correspond with?
So this is entrance wound B. That goes to exit wound D.
Moving on to what has been admitted as photograph number 18. Can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what we're looking at here?
I can. So this is the exit wound E. That went with entrance wound A. The back of the neck comes out the right side of the temporal scalp. This is with the scalp reflected forward. So we do an incision across the head behind the ears. We reflect the scalp forward and back. And what this is showing you is this is hemorrhage. Okay, this is blood. This is bleeding. There is a heartbeat.
Shit. Yeah, you know, headshot, baby. What do they say? Shoot for the head. Take him out faster. I'm pretty sure he felt nothing. It was just like lights out. Into the abyss. Gone. Into heaven. Into the abyss. Into wherever you feel like you're going, bro. That shit's crazy. You're just out of here. So it's clearly, again, they're just hammering it home over and over. The killing shot was the headshot. You know what I mean?
And so with
and
regards,
it matches the theory so well too. I want to add that Melly's a small guy, right? So his posture in the car, everybody doesn't just sit like this, right? Everybody doesn't just sit perfect posture 90% of the time. Most guys are going to be nice and cool back in the seat, especially if you're about to plan something, you're about to set somebody up, you're going to probably be like in the cut real quick, you know, have the gun on the side. So you're already a small person and you aim your hands down here. Where's that going? From the back of the neck out the top of the head. Perfect angles, bro. And when we go through the construction, I'm pretty sure they're going to hammer that home as well. Shit's not looking good.
Now E, at this point, the scalp is back on this photo, which we've already talked about here. Can you explain why this is a laceration?
So we shave it to show, because it's consistent with a laceration. There's no abraded margin. It's consistent with an exit wound.
In terms of what has been previously admitted as State 74, is this the projectile fragments of photo of them that have been introduced into evidence?
That's correct.
Why do you recover these?
Because, we usually recover projectiles and fragments so that, turn them over so that the crime scene can do whatever gun testing they want to do with the projectiles. These pieces are probably too small, but it's still evidence. So we collect all the evidence outside of and on the body to give to law enforcement in case they need it.
Was there any evidence of medical intervention for Mr. Williams?
No.
And what would that mean?
So sometimes people are transported to the hospital. They still have a heartbeat. And so the trauma team or the emergency room doctors are going to want to do whatever they can do to save that person's life. So sometimes with gunshot wounds, especially, you can have, they can put chest tubes in, they can do a thoracotomy, which is where they open up the side of your, they open up your rib cage to try to get your heart beating again. There's lots of things that they will do to try to save somebody's life.
Man, medical science is a beautiful thing, but it's also terrifying, bro. That shit's crazy. Cut your ribs open and put some shit inside you so that you stay alive. You pump the heart back up. Man, that shit's crazy. So there's no medical intervention on this guy. He was dead on the scene, on arrival. They saw him, probably threw him in the morgue. No, they took him straight to autopsy. It's over with. Put him in the morgue, arrested Melly later on. It's starting to look like, I really need to see what the prosecution has to say. Not the prosecution, the defense. I really need to know what they haven't created an alternate theory yet. They're still kind of just battling what the prosecution has. I want to see their theory. And if I could really rock with a theory like that, or if it's going to be bullshit. And I don't know if they have one yet. You know what I mean? I don't know if they have an alternate theory. I'm sure they do, but I don't know if they want to use it. They're not showing their hand.
And you said there was none of those in this case.
There were not.
In terms of the rest of the internal examination, were there any other findings that led to the death of Mr. Williams other than the gunshot wound you talked about?
No.
The ADE?
There are not.
So it's probably simple for an experienced woman like this. Remember, she's done over 1,000 cases. Only 3 she can tell the what's the word? The order in which the person was shot, right? But if she's telling you that, hey, this is what killed him, all those other shots, no. You could believe her. You could believe her. It's like muscle memory at this point. She see it, she answer it. Like, it's just, yeah, nah, this happened.
Do you collect samples for the purpose of processing for toxicology?
We do.
And do you do that testing?
We have a toxicology lab. I don't do it personally. We have a toxicologist that does it.
And did you do that for Mr. Williams?
We did.
And in terms of the results of that toxicology, what showed up?
So he has marijuana, THC, and marijuana metabolite.
And can you give any sort of time frame on the ingestion of those?
He had marijuana in his system. I promise you, when they run the autopsy on me, they gonna find a little traces of some THC. I'll tell you that much. But that's crazy. You know, they ran all the autopsies, all that shit. You know, I don't even think these guys are true gang members, bro. Honestly, like maybe Melly was dabbling in that shit, but his friends, the way his dad seemed, Sack Chaser, Juvie, them boys, man, they're just trying to make some money. Shit.
Those substances? Based on your autopsy, did you come to an opinion as to the cause and manner of death for Anthony Williams?
I did.
And what was that?
The cause of death is multiple gunshot wounds, and the manner of death is homicide.
In this case, you could, on both the individual you did the autopsy of and the individual that your fellow medical examiner did, correct?
I can tell you the first shot. I don't know the order of the second and third.
Okay. And the first shot on
Oh,
both.
and that's a key piece. She can tell you the first shot. I didn't know that. So the first shot was the kill shot. That's all you need to know. And you know it was the first one. It wasn't the second or the third matching up with a drive-by. No, the first shot, the headshot, up close was the kill shot. So, I mean, that one factor right there is kind of making it look tough. But anyway, we're going to change right over into this crime scene reconstruction right here. They're going to do an amazing job, y'all. I'm gonna say this much. It's starting to get juicy for prosecution. Pray for Melly. Let's get into it.
So this resting angle in this seat, you have the projectile coming in, exiting through the top of the...
Let me just say, the attention to detail. These boys got a dummy styrofoam head. I wonder how much that shit costs. Where the fuck did y'all find that? Did they go to Target and just get a styrofoam head? Like, shit. Nah, they're trying to put him behind. I'll tell you that much.
The skull, and then continuing through the windshield.
You said windshield.
Or, I'm sorry, the window.
Can you say that it was at the top of the window, or the bottom of the window, the middle of the window?
I cannot.
So, based on that projectile and the blowback, you can make what opinions?
So based on the angle of this this projectile, the blowback is indicative of a firearm being in close vicinity of the head. The head is something that bleeds profusely when it's pierced. If you've ever fallen on stairs or hit your head, it bleeds like no tomorrow. And because the projectile...
Well, I mean, everything's going to your head, right? Shit. That's where you got the jugular vein connected to that bad boy. You got your brain in that bitch. You got all that shit. So yeah, you get blasted through the head. Literally, your thoughts are leaking out. You know what I mean? Just leaking your thoughts, man.
Now entered
Leaking out your memories.
Right below the skull. The blowback ended up coming in the direction of, as I was speaking earlier about the hose, in the direction that it came from. And you will get that with a very close shot. That blowback then proceeded after the shot. It went up, it hit this headliner, and continued and falling into the back seat.
Wow.
And so I want to go.
Wow, bro. They're on his ass. It was a drive-by, huh? Shit. They literally reconstructed the casing. He was like, yeah, and the blowback went up here, boop, hit the top, and landed down here. And you can just see it. It's like clear as day. It's like, shit. Damn. A gun was definitely fired in that car. In that direction.
To some of the other photos, there's a yellow jacket that's found in the very back of the vehicle. Is it important to know whose DNA and blood was found on that?
What yellow jacket?
Let me come back to that because I have the other photos, so we'll come back to
Okay.
that in a moment. Okay, so in terms of the location of the firearm
Look at
that fired the shot.
Look at all these pictures. I'm kind of zooming in with my eyes. It's in depth, bro. They did so much reconstruction. I hope they go through all these photos. You know what we should do? We should do a live streaming. Get those photos because I'm sure when this is done, they'll be unsealed. I should get them photos and we should just do a live streaming and just talk about them. Go through the reconstruction. That would be sick.
And we were just talking about in CSW 6745, does this attempt to accurately recreate the potential location of that firearm?
So the purpose of this photograph is strictly demonstrative to show where once the projectile enters into the head, you're going to have the blowback, which again will come up, strike the...
This man said demonstrative, and I was like, what the fuck? Demonstrative? I guess, I don't know. It might be pronounced demonstrative. It just doesn't sound right. Demonstrative, demonstrative. Y'all let me know.
headliner, and then continue. It's actually continuing this way and landing back here behind the driver in this area of the vehicle.
In terms of the driver and the t-shirt that he was wearing, do you take into account the location of the victim's DNA on his shirt?
Well, based upon the blowback pattern up here, I would expect to find some blowback here if on a driver, if a driver was there.
Okay, Sergeant, you can answer that question.
You guys let me know what blowback is. I thought blowback was just the shell, but I'm thinking it's just the debris from all the gunpowder. You guys let me know specifically what blowback is. Or is it just like what the bullet is hitting that's exploding that causes blowback? Y'all hit me with that shit. There's a bunch of gun enthusiasts up in my subs. So yeah.
Why don't you restate your question, Pastor?
So you were discussing that how you would find and determine angles and ranges for specific individuals that are presented to you.
Yes.
How would you do that?
So I would obtain a shooting height, a maximum, what we would determine as a maximum shooting height, which would be standing with your arm out at 90 degrees. That height would be obtained from the ground to your arm, to your finger essentially. And then a minimum shooting height, which would be squatting with the same arm out and measurement from here to your finger. And then that would give me a minimum and a maximum range of fire. Once I have a minimum and maximum range of fire, that gets added into more trig to determine a minimum and maximum distance of that particular shooter.
Hey, if you guys are saying, what the fuck do I need math for in life? I did all this trigonometry and all this bullshit in college, and I never used it. Well, if you wanted to go into law enforcement, there you go. They're using a shitload of math. Because I'm even up here, I'm 26 thinking, like, where the fuck is the math, y'all? Where's the math in life? I ain't using it. But, I mean, if you're trying to be a detective, you're trying to be an architect, you're trying to be something like that, yeah, get up in there.
So with regards to this incident, were you there on scene?
No.
Do you know who fired the shots?
No.
In terms of the shots to the outside of the vehicle, are you aware that individuals are already dead when those are fired?
They were already dead, yes.
Objection, Your Honor.
How does that play into your reconstruction?
Wait, he just said objection, Your Honor, and Your Honor didn't say anything. I thought you had to stop. Hold on.
They're already dead, yes.
Objection, Your Honor.
How does that play into...
And she just continued. I don't know. Y'all let me, like, what the fuck?
Your reconstruction.
It comes into play because specifically with Christopher Thomas, because Christopher Thomas was already deceased when these rounds were coming into the back of the vehicle, because Christopher Thomas was what we would call crumbling. He was starting to fall, if you will. And on top of that, I know that he was...
Damn, I know exactly what he means by crumbling. If you ever seen some of those, like, those dark web videos, those videos where the cartel is just slaughtering people and shit like that, you'll see some wild shit. But anyway, that crumbling effect, it's when you see it, it kind of does something to you. You feel your heart just, well, I guess to a normal person, your heart just kind of tears a little bit, because that's it. Like, that's like a soul lost. It's just like, just gone. Nothing but flesh and blood, ready to rot. Like, anyway, yeah, crumbling. If you ever seen that shit, I've only seen it through video. It's distinct. It's not just keeling over. It's dying over, if you will.
Is already deceased, because the back of his back, essentially, the rounds that are in his back have no blood in them, which means that there's no circulation. So the rounds are coming in. Christopher Thomas is crumbling with each round. He's falling with each round, and that's the answer.
Okay. So in terms of, we'll get to the shooting inside the car in a little bit. I want to stick to the outside at this point. When you were looking at the side of the car on the angles of entry, and the side-to-side angles that I'm talking about, why is that important in your analysis? I'm going to go back to 4809 to describe those angles.
Oh wow, they riddled this car with bullets. I didn't realize they hit the side that much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want to say 8, and then at the back was 5. Damn. So they used about a clip. They used about a full-size gun. 13 rounds, 14 rounds, 15 rounds, 16. They used one clip, I'm assuming, of a .45 caliber, and got to work. Amateurs, bro. If you were gonna take these guys out, if this wasn't just some sporadic argument that led to people losing their life, if this was planned, like, hey, these guys are fucking our money up, if me and you just get rid of these two, we'll be better off, this and that. If they planned this shit, if this was a conspiracy, they suck. They absolutely fucking suck. They could have did better than this shit.
So these angles are important because it is part of my assignment, which is to determine if this is a drive-by shooting. And my determination was that this is not a drive-by shooting, and it's based upon this picture here, which is a very good picture to describe it. All of these rounds are done, and all but one is done at a stationary position.
Figure it out,
Shooter's
bro.
at a stationary position when all but one of these rounds are going in. The one round that has some movement in it, which is round site L here, the shooter is actually moving in that to create the little bit of a keyhole that you see there.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying, bro? What did I tell you guys? 4, 5, 6 videos back, I was like, man, if I was doing this drive-by, I would have been like turning my hands and going on corners and shit, ducking down, jumping around. Like, bro, you gotta make this shit more believable, bro. I would have even got in the homie's car. I would have been like, hey, we'll see, we only have one car, so that's the problem. But this is where planning comes in, guys. We need to have angles here. We can't just stand up in front of the car and just bop, bop, bop. Like, you think money equals intellect, bro? Like, use your brain. Money's not going to get you out of idiot shit like this.
A lot of information in that answer, so let's break it down a little bit. You mentioned a keyhole, so I'm going to zoom in on site L and explain what is a keyhole.
So a keyhole is a projectile comes out of the barrel and it is actually spinning in a line. It's also falling as it spins. However, once you add movement to the gun at the same time the projectile is coming out, you introduce that movement to the projectile. Once the projectile has altered movement, it will start to tumble. So it's no longer going in a straight line. It is actually going like head over feet, if you will, as it's entering into its target. And that head over feet gives you this right here, which is essentially the projectile coming in sideways.
Okay, so it's like it's flipping. It's no longer going like that. It got interrupted and started tumbling. You know what I mean? Like a football, you throw it, but then it wobbles, or maybe you throw it really fucked up and it kind of just like, well, you would have to really fuck up that throw. But say you circulate the whole ball in the air. That's pretty much what's happening in a moving shooting. So to be honest, to be real with you, I don't even think walking or jogging while shooting at it would make much of a difference. You need like the stable variables, like a car moving, like an actual drive-by, you know what I mean? Like an actual car driving by and shooting at you.
In terms of a drive-by shooting, if two vehicles were moving at 45 miles per hour, what would you expect to see?
So if it's a drive-by shooting, all of these rounds should look like this.
Why?
Because movement is being introduced to that projectile.
So to contrast site L with...
Yep, that's wild, yeah. Crystal clear evidence that everybody can follow, you know what I mean? So, okay, my opinion right now is if this is all they have, it's not strong enough. But if they continue down this line and really hit him with a hammer, like one more big piece of evidence, then I'd say he's in trouble. Then I'd say, you know, gulp real deep because that death penalty is coming. But until the next one, people, this has been absolutely wild. You know, we're keeping up with it. We gotta see what happens to the Melly guys. So until the next one, y'all, stay inside, stay safe. I love y'all. Peace.